Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to explain what we know about the government's plans to mitigate the worst effects of Brexit, known as Operation Kingfisher. But first, if you find yourself enjoying the video, then please click the like button and subscribe to the channel. So, Operation Kingfisher is the name of the government plan for propping up the most at-risk businesses in the UK, or at least the ones they accept are the most at risk. The government has recently acknowledged its existence, but it was kept secret for quite a while. Essentially, this is because it's a plan that acknowledges that Brexit is going to be extremely damaging. The government have been suppressing everything that alludes to the damage caused by Brexit. But people were noticing references to Kingfisher on leaked government reports, and so started asking questions. At its heart, Kingfisher seems to be a list of the UK businesses that would be in a strong position were it not for Brexit, but are likely to go into administration as a result of us leaving the EU. As part of this operation, ministers have been using their so-called war cabinet to plan bailouts for these companies. Michael Gove first talked publicly about Kingfisher whilst in Northern Ireland. He was apologising for the loss of yet another great company, the Harland and Wolff shipyard in this case, when he explained the packages of support that will be available for businesses suffering cash flow problems as a result of Brexit. Increasing talk about Kingfisher has been exposing fault lines in the cabinet as well. Sajid Javid, the new Chancellor, has been saying that there are no economic concerns with Brexit at all. But then you have a government plan to bail out perfectly healthy companies that are expected to go tits up immediately. You also have Michael Gove mooting the idea of a bank holiday on November the 1st to reduce the chaos in the markets the day after they intend to take us out of the EU without a deal. We have an utterly insane situation now where the government are telling us that there are no problems with Brexit and that there are going to be so many problems that billions of pounds of extra money will be needed and businesses are going to go under. And they're saying these two contradictory things at the same time. Though if you're looking for someone to definitely not believe, I'm going to be pointing the finger at our new Chancellor. Mr Javid telling us that we're not headed for recession when our economy has just shrunk is a bit of an odd statement to say the least. Now, just to remind you that a recession is when your economy contracts for 2 consecutive quarters. So for the UK to enter recession in 3 months' time, the current quarter would have to be worse than the last one. But who's going to bet against that? But it is increasingly difficult to find ministers who are being as buoyant about Brexit. Johnson had to pack his cabinet with committed no-deal Brexiteers because, well, that's his policy. Despite him saying he wants a deal, cabinet ministers have a duty to not speak against government policy. But Johnson has struggled to fill other ministerial positions, and he certainly wouldn't be expecting the same commitment from the few who have agreed to take on these more junior roles. One junior minister, George Freeman, according to The Times, said that a no-deal Brexit would be an absolute disaster and that it could lead to the Conservatives being out of power for 20 years. We can but hope. I suspect the plan is to keep denying that there will be any problems at all after Brexit, and then, for those who dig a little deeper, you have the announcement of plans and measures that will mitigate against the undeniable impact. In addition, when we do leave without a deal, and the effects become obvious to everyone not in a coma, then they can refer to the statements about their plans and try and keep a few more people remaining deluded about the situation, at least for another week or two. The problem is whether you believe that the government actually has any plans for this. One example of the lack of thought is in terms of our fishing waters. In the event of a no deal, we are an independent coastal nation, so fishing vessels of other nations will have no agreement to fish in our waters. And although many Brexit supporters think that's a good thing, I will remind people that even the UK fishing industry never asked for or wanted that. But the point is that we are going to need to patrol our waters. Well, we have 12 patrol vessels to do this. Now, I know some people refer to Great Britain as a small island. It is not. As islands go, it's a fairly big one. Yes, there are bigger ones, but in the grand scale, it's one and a bit large islands and far too much water for 12 boats to possibly monitor in any meaningful way. Not that I'm suggesting fishing vessels would break the law and fish in UK waters without agreement, but if they did, we'd be pretty lucky to ever find out about it. So do you trust a minister who says we can patrol our entire coastline with 12 boats to be able to bail out any company that would otherwise go to the wall as a result of Brexit? I mean, this is the same government that I discussed recently as saying they would help livestock farmers by buying the meats that they can now sell in Europe, but then realising that they can't do that because, well, there's nowhere to store it. Another question that occurs regarding Operation Kingfisher is how much money do they expect to spend on it, and where will that money come from? Publicly, at least, they are giving the strongest possible impression that they don't believe the economic forecast. In this case, then, they can't help but grossly underestimate the costs of bailing out these companies. I'd also be curious as to which company get the bailouts. Yes, there's a list. I don't know the details of all of them. Now, I don't know about you, but I am thinking that Tory donors, rather than companies simply in need, are going to be the main beneficiaries. After all, the country can't bail out its businesses when Brexit hits, at least not all of them. If a person loses their income, they might live on savings for a while if they have any, but a country doesn't have savings in the same way. It taxes and then it spends those taxes. And there's never enough taxes to pay for what they need under Conservative governments, so they then borrow. So the only way the government can fund Kingfisher, as far as I can tell, is to borrow when the pound is getting weaker and our credit rating is likely to suffer. But what is their long-term plan? Hardline Brexiteers, including Boris Johnson, have talked in the past about how the EU will come crawling to us for a deal as soon as we show them we're serious about leaving with no deal. As such, it might actually be the case, don't laugh, that the Prime Minister will be sitting by his phone in November as the UK burns around him saying, "Any minute now, they're going to ring any minute, just be patient." Literally Nero fiddling while Rome burns. And yes, before any historians get onto me, I know Nero didn't really do that, but Johnson may. So I hope you found the video interesting. If you'd like to support the channel further, then please click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.